Namaste. Today I'm gonna read Bhagavad Gita, chapter 12, Bhagavad Gita, book 1, chapter 76, and the Yoga Sutras of Patanjali, with comments by Vyasa. Book 1, Sutra, starting from 33 until I get tired. Okay. So this is chapter 12, and it's the shortest chapter, I think, in the entire Bhagavad Gita. It's only 20 verses, so it should be pretty easy for me today. Namaste. Atha Dvadasho Dhyayaha Bhakti Yogaha Arjuna Uvacha Evam Satata Yukta Ye Bhagata Siddhavam Pariyupasate Ye Japyakusharama Vyagatam Teshum Ke Yogapititamaha Shri Bhagavan Maya Veshya Mano Ye Mam Nitya Yukta Upasate Shradhataya Parayopetaha Te Me Yukutatama Mataha Ye Devakusharamanil Deshyama Vyagatam Pariyupasate Salvatragama Salvatragama Dianja Kudasatama Kudasatama Jalanan Turubama Sananiya Miyanandriyagramam Salvatra Samabudutayaho Te Prabhunubananti Mameva Salva Putahite Rataha. Gleshotikata Rasatesho Mabhyagata Sakata Chatasam Abhyagata Hi Katil Duhokam Dehabad Pirapa Piate Ye tu Saivanui Kaimanui Mayi Samniasya Mataparaha Ananyenaiva Yogenam Mam Dhyayananta Upasate Desho Maham Samudtalta Mritiu Samsara Sagarat Pabami Nachirat Balta Maya Veshita Chatasam Mayeva Mana Atatasava Mayi Buddhatim Diveshaya Divasishyasi Mayeva Atta Ultavam Na Samshayahu Atta Chetatam Samathatum Na Shakunoshri Mayi Sthiram Apya Sayogena Tato Mamikacha Patum Tananjaya Apya Sepya Samaltosi Matakaima Paramo Pava Madaltamapi Kaimanui Gulvanan Seti Maba Pasyasi Ataita Dapya Shakutosi Kaltum Madhyogama Shiritahu Salvakaima Palatyagam Tatahu Guru Yatatamabana Shreyo Hi Jinyanamapya Saji Jinyana Dhyanam Vishishyote Dhyana Kaima Palatyaga Sutyaga Gachanan Tirananan Tarama Adabashito Saiva Putanam Maitraha Karuna Eva Cha Nilmamo Nirahangankaraha Samaduhaka Sukhaha Gushami Sanantushirtaha Satatam Yogi Yatatma Drita Nishitayaha Mayalpitamano Buddha Tiriyo Madhupakataha Sa Me Priyaha Yasamanan Nodu Bijate Loko Lokanan Nodu Bijate Cha Yaha Harsha Marsha Payo Dube Gail Mukuto Harsha Marsha Payo Harsha Marsha Payo Harsha Marsha Payo Dube Gail Mukuto Yaha Sa Cha Me Priyaha Anapakushaha Shuchildakusha Udasino Katavyataha 살바람은 팥발이 디아기 요 마드바가다흐 사메 브리야흐 요 나 흐르시어띠 나 드베실두이 나 쇼짜띠 나 강은 것이었띠 슈파파리 디아기 바그디마니야흐 사메 브리야흐 사마흐 샤트로 짜 미트레 짜 따타 마나바마나요흐 시도시노 수카두흐 캐슈 사마흐 상응가비 발지따흐 뚫리아니는 다 수투딜마오니 사는 뜻을 두어 예나 깨나찌뜨 아니겠다흐 스티라마틸 파그디마는메 브리요 나라흐 예두 달미야 무리땀이담 야토그담 파리유파 사테 시라드다타나 마트바라마 파그다스테티바 메 브리야흐 따뜻사디티 시리마드 바가바드 기타 수파니셔트수 브라하마 비디야얌 요가 스트레 시리 그리슈늘 주나 삼바데 바그디 요고 나마 드바다쇼티아야흐 Pretty short, huh? Okay. Oh, wait. Namaste. Arjuna said of those worshippers who constantly adore thee, and those who on thee as the indestructible and unmanifest, who are best acquainted with devotion. The Holy One said, fixing the mind on me, they that constantly adore me, being endued with the highest faith, are deemed by me to be the most devoted. They, however, who worship the indestructible, the indescribable, the unmanifest, the all-pervading, the inconceivable, the indifferent, the immutable, the eternal, who, restraining the entire group of the senses, are equal-minded in respect of all around, and are engaged in the good of all creatures, attain to me. The trouble is the greater for those whose minds are fixed on the unmanifest, for the path to the unmanifest is hard to find by those that are embodied. They who, reposing all action on me, regarding me as their highest object, worship me, meditating on me with devotion undirected to anything else. Of them whose minds are fixed on me, I, without delay, become the deliverer from the ocean of the mortal world. Fix thy heart on me alone, place thy understanding on me, hereafter then shalt thou dwell in me, no doubt. If, however, thou art unable to steadily fix thy heart on me, then, O Dhananjaya, strive to obtain me by devotion from continuous application. If thou beest unequal to even continuous application, then let actions performed for me be thy highest aim. Even performing all thy acts for my sake, thou wilt obtain perfection. If even this thou art unable to do, then resorting to devotion in me, subduing thy soul, abandon the fruit of all action. Knowledge is superior to application. Meditation is better than knowledge. The abandonment of the fruit of action than meditation, and tranquility immediately from abandonment. He who hath no hatred for any creature, who is friendly and compassionate also, who is free from egoism, who hath no vanity, who is alike in pleasure and pain, who is forgiving, contented, always devoted, of subdued soul, firm of purpose, with heart and understanding fixed on me, even he is dear to me. He through whom the world is not troubled, who is not troubled by the world, who is free from joy, wrath, fear, and anxieties, even he is dear to me. That devotee of mine who is unconcerned, pure, diligent, unconnected, and free from distress, and who renounceth every action, even he is dear to me. He who hath no joy, no aversion, who neither grieveth nor desireth, who renounceth both good and evil, who is full of faith in me, even he is dear to me. He who is alike to friend and foe, as also in honor and dishonor, who is alike in cold and heat, pleasure and pain, who is free from attachment, to whom censure and praise are equal, who is taciturn, who is contented with anything that cometh, who is homeless, of steady mind and full of faith, even that man is dear to me. They who resort to this righteousness, immortality which had been declared, those devotees full of faith and regarding me as the highest object, are the most dear to me. Okay. Oh, I forgot to make a note to myself which page it's on. Oh well. Today I'm gonna try to remember to change the titles before starting the studies. It's chapter 76. Okay, it's pretty short. I'm gonna change that to 76. Okay, there are longer verses though, like twice as long. Okay, I'm gonna use my nicotine and then start Rig Veda. And I think I'm gonna do a lot of the sutras today because I did Bhagavad Gita within 15 minutes today, so. Okay. Namaste. Ka ta upete manaso paraya pubatagne shatama shamtama ka manisho ko ba yajinyai hu pari takusham ta apa kena ba te manasa ta shema ehiyagna iha hota ni Shrida Dabutahu Su Puraeta Pavanahu Avatam Deva Rodasi Vishivaminumbe Yaja Mahe Samanasaya Devan Pura Su Vishivanan Rakushoso takushyogune pava yajinyana mapi shasati tap 야지냐나 야지냐나 마피샤스tit 야지냐나 마피샤스tit 야지냐나 마피샤스티 바바 아타 바하 소마파팀 하리피야마티티야 하리피야마티티야 마스마이 짜크리마 수다브레 수다브네 프라자바타 파차사 바흐니라사 자 후베니 자 사트시하 데바이흐 베슈이 호트라무타 보트람 야자트라 보티 브라야는 딸자 브라야는 딸자 브라야는 딸자니 딸바수나무 여타 비브라시아 마누쇼 하빌필데 하빌필데바무 아야자흐 까비흐 사느 에바 호타흐 사티아따라 드바마디야 그네 마는드라야 주후바 야자스바 Namaste. Okay. How may the mind draw nigh to please the Agni? What hymn of praise shall bring us greatest blessing? Or who hath gained thy power by sacrifices? Or with what mind shall we bring thee oblations? Come hither, Agni, sit thee down as Hotal. Be thou who never wast deceived, our leader. May heaven and earth, the all-pervading, love thee. Worship the gods to win for us their favor. Burn thou up all the Rakshasas, O Agni. Ward thou off curses from our sacrifices. Bring hither with his base the Lord of Soma. Here is glad welcome for the bounteous giver. Thou priest with lip and voice that bring us children hast been invoked. Here with the gods be seated. Thine is the task of cleanser and presenter. Waken us, wealth bestower and producer. As with oblations of the priestly Manus, thou worshippest the gods, a sage with sages. So now, O truthfulest invoker, Agni, worship this day with joy-bestowing ladle. Is it ladle or ladle? Okay. '77. It's page 117. Thinking. Okay. Now the sutras. Gonna do more than an hour and 30 minutes, about an hour and 30 minutes of the sutras today. I guess to make up for yesterday, because I only did 2 sutras yesterday. So, oh yeah. There you go. So, starting at 33. Okay, it's about cycle 2. Namaste. Yasya. We looked this up yesterday. And there's 2 versions. Yadidam and Yasye. But Yasye leads to another word. Yasyedam. Okay. Chittasya vasititasyedam shasatreno parikaima nildishyate. And there's number 5. Gata. Gatamu. Tatagatamu. Maitri. Let me just, okay. Maitri Karuna Maitri Karuna Mudito Pakashanam Sukhaduhaka Punuya Punuya Sukhaduhaka Punuya Punuya Sukhaduhaka Punuya Punuya Vishayanam Pavana Tashichitita Prasadam Tatra Salvapura Nuishu Sukhasampoga Bananeshu. I'm gonna quickly check that there. Maitrim Pavayat Tuhakiteshu Karunam Punuya Tamakeshu Muditam Apunuya Shileshu Pekusham. Not missing anything. Evamasya Pavayatahu Shukulo Taima Upajayate Tatashitya Chitatam Prasidati. So I'll make sure that's Ta. Prasita Prasanamekagram. Number 1. Mekagrasti Sati Prasanana Mekagrasati Padam. And number Satiti Padam. And then number 2. Satira Padam. Satira Padam. Right? Is it Da or Ra? Let me check here. Stiti uses the same version. Satiti, same thing. What about this one? Satiti Padam. So everybody uses Titi Padam. I just want to be safe because this could be something else than Ra. Because it's fuzzy. So I'm just gonna assume that it might be something else and say Satita Padam. That covers it. La Pate. Okay, 33. Starting from here. How is this embellishment of the constant mind prescribed by the science? The transparency of the mind comes from the development of friendship, compassion, joy, and neutrality regarding the spheres of pleasure, pain, virtue, and vice, respectively. There the yogi should cultivate friendship towards all living beings engaged in the enjoyment of pleasure, compassion towards the sufferers, joy towards the virtuous, and neutrality towards the vicious. Thus the white characteristic comes to the yogi who is given to such culture. Further, the mind becomes transparent therefrom. The transparent mind becomes one-pointed and thence attains the position of steadiness. Of which this purification is enjoined by the system. By what means is this? By the cultivation of friendliness towards happiness and compassion towards pain and joy towards merit and indifference towards demerit, the undisturbed calm of the mind stuff. Of these, he should cultivate friendliness towards all living beings that have reached the experience of happiness, compassion towards those in pain, joy towards those whose character is meritorious, indifference towards those whose character is demeritorious. When he thus cultivates, the white quality comes into being, and then the mind stuff becomes calm, and when calm, it becomes single in intent and reaches a stable state. Okay, I think by tomorrow, maybe I'm not gonna read on this Saturdays. I don't read on Saturdays. I'm not gonna read this on Saturday. So by Sunday, I should be done with book 1 again. Okay, it's 34. Namaste. Prakchaldanabhitarano pyam pa pranosya Kaushutuyasya Vayul Va. That's a Va, I hope. Va. Vayul Nasika Putto Pyam Prayatana Visheshud Vamanam Prakchaldanam Vitaranam Pranoyamasita Pyam Pa Manasahu Satitim Sampadayat. I just want to make sure that's dim. Yeah, okay, so that's 34. Or from the expulsion or retention of breath. The expulsion is to throw out the air of the lungs through the nostrils by special effort. Retention is the breath control. The yogi should achieve the steadiness of the mind by these as an optional measure. Okay, 35 is gonna be a little long. Or by expulsion and retention of breath. Expulsion is the ejection of the abdominal air through the apertures of the nose by a special kind of effort. Retention is restraint of the breath. Or by these two, he should attain to a stability of the central organ. Okay. 35. Namaste. Vishayavati Va Prabhrititi Rutapa Prabhrititi Rutapan Prabhrititi Rutapanana Manasahu Sthiti Nibbana Sthiti Nibbana Nibbana Sthiti Nibbana Sthiti Nibbana Thani. It's a little fuzzy. Okay, number 3. Panan T. Sthiti Namni Sthiti Ni Banantini. It's easier for me to pronounce. Okay. Nasikagre Tarayatosya Ya Divyagananta Sambit Divyagananta Sambitsa. Sorry. Yeah. Gananta Parabrititihu Jihubagre. It's really fuzzy for me. Okay. Rasa Sambit Taluni Rupa Sambit Taluni Jihuva Matye Suparsha Sambit Jihuva Matye Jihuva Mule Shabuda Sambi Dityata. Number 4. And it says Dyatahu 디에타흐 샤부다 삼비 디디엣 샤부다 삼비 디디에타흐 브리트타야 우트파는 나시지트담. Right? Yeah. Okay. That looks a little better than the page before. Sititao. Is it a standalone word? Yeah. Okay. 니바트나는 띠. 삼샤얌 미타마는 띠. 사마티 프라지냐얌 자 드바리 파바는 띠. There's number 1. 파바는 띠. 에테나 자는드라 디티아그라 하마누이 프라디 파라 슈미야 디브다 슈미야. No, it's Ratna. Wow. Shemiya in this version. And that version says Ratna. What's up with that? Shemiya Dishu. This is a totally different word than the older versions. That's one major reason why I don't use the most modern version. 자는드라 디티아그라 하마누이 프라디 파라시미야 디슈 프라브리트티 루트바느나 비셔야 바티에바 베디타비아 야디아피 히 따뜻따크차 스드라 따뜻따크차 스드라 누마나자 리오팔 바데 샤이나 바가타 마타 말타 따트밤. It's this word here. 따뜻따크차 스드라 누마나자 리오파데 샤이나 바가타 말타 따. Almost. 따뜻따크차 스드라 누마나자 리오파데 샤이나 바가타 말타 따트밤. 사드푸 따메바. Just want to make sure that's the word that I've read. Yes. 사드푸 따메바. Sorry. I don't remember what I said, so I have to say it again. 파바티 에테슘 야타 부다 알타 프라티 바다나 사말티앗. It's this word here. 야타 부다 알타 프라티 바다나 사말티앗 따타비. Is that ya or ba? It's a ya. It's gotta be ya, but why am I looking it up? 야바. 야바데샨 야바데카데쇼피. 가시찌는나 스바카라노 삼베디오 바바티 따바트살밤 바로크쇼미바 바발간 바로쿠셔미마 바발가디슈 수쿠시메시발테슈 나 드리텀 부드키. Are you kidding me? 부드티 on this version, in this version, and 부드키 on that version. Buddha on that. You know, I'll read both of them. Just Buddha Muttapādayati and Buddha Muttapādayati. There you go. Tasma Gacha Sutranumana Charyo Padesho Podubalana Tameba Vashyam. Okay. Tasma Gacha Sutranumana Charyo Padesho Podubalana. Tasma Gacha Sutranumana Charyo Padesho Podubalana Alta. Tasma Gacha Sutranumana Charyo Padesho Podubalana Alta Meba Vashyam. Kashichi Daltabi. Kashichi Daltabi Sheshohu. Pratyakushi Kaitabiyahu. Tatra Tadupadi Shudol Tadupa Shudol Taika Desha Pratyakushotuve. It's this word here. Nicotine. I don't want to pull my hair out. I'd rather use this. Okay, 10 seconds. Okay. Tadupadishidol Taika. Tadupadishidol Taika Desha Pratyakushotuve. Sati Saivam. Number 2. Saivam Susu Kushima Bisho Yamapi. Kushima Bisho Yamapi. Babalga Kuchra Dutiyate. Babalga Kuchra. Babalga Kuchra. Babalga Kuchra Dutiyate. Eta Daltame Vedam Chitita Parikaima Nildishyate. Aniyata Su Puritatishu Tadabishoyayam Pashikara Samjinyayam Upajatayam Samaltam Tasya Pratyakushri Karano Yati. I pronounced it right. You know what? I'm gonna just leave if I pronounced it correctly. But if I shortened a syllable, you know what? I can't. Yeah. Tata ja sati Shiradata Virya Smriti Samatayos. Shiradata Virya Smriti Shiradata Virya Smriti Shiradata Virya Smriti Shiradata Virya Smriti Samatayosya Pratibanantena Pavishyonanditi. I like this character there. I wanted to elongate it further, but I couldn't do it. That's why I wanted to read that part again. But no, I shouldn't. Okay, that was 35. And the sense objective manifestation being produced becomes the cause of steadiness of the mind. The faculty of the supernatural smell which comes to the yogi who concentrates his mind upon the forepart of the nose is the smell manifestation. The faculty of taste on the forepart of the tongue, the faculty of color upon the palate, the faculty of touch in the middle of the tongue, and the faculty of sound at the root of the tongue. These manifestations being produced fasten the mind to steadiness, destroy doubts, and become the portals of spiritual absorbent cognition. By this, the manifestation in the lights of the moon, the sun, the planet, the jewel, the lamp, etc. is to be understood as sense objective. Although the respective realities of things, learnt through the instruction of science, inference, and teachers, are in fact really existent on account of their powers of establishing the respective truths, yet so long as even a single portion does not become cognizable by one's own sense, all that remains as if vague. They cannot produce firm belief in the subtle objects such as emancipation, etc. Therefore, in order to confirm the instruction of the science, inference, and teacher, at least some distinguishing quality of the substance must be experienced. There, through the experiment of some portion of the substance taught by them, the subtle portion, including emancipation, is also paid full attention to. For this reason, the mental embellishment has been prescribed. When the conscious power of full control over the unrestrained operations with regard to its sphere of functions is produced, then the mind is able to positively observe those respective truths. Such being the case, faith, courage, retentive power, spiritual absorption, and intellective vision come to him without any obstacle. Or a sense activity arises connected with an object, bringing the central organ into a relation of stability. The consciousness of supernormal order. In one who attends fixedly to the tip of his nose is sense activity with order. On the tip of the tongue, the consciousness of supernormal taste. On the palate, supernormal color. On the middle of the tongue, the consciousness of touch. On the root of the tongue, the consciousness of sound. These sense activities, when arisen, bring the mind stuff into a relation of stability, dispel doubt, and become a way of approach to concentrated insight. Thus, sense activity with regard to the moon or the sun or planets or gems or a lamp or similar objects when it arises should be regarded as being connected with an object. For although the true nature of things as they really are becomes accessible by means of the various sciences and by inferences and by the instruction of masters, since these are adequate to inform us of the things as they are, still, so long as any part whatsoever has not become consciously knowable by the appropriate organ, the whole seems immediately perceived, and the thinking substance is not made to arise firmly with regard to such subtle intended objects as release. Therefore, only for the sake of reinforcing books and inferences and the instruction of masters, some one particular thing must necessarily be made an object of perception. Then after a portion of the intended object as taught by these has been made the object of perception, the whole, even unto such an exceeding subtle object as release, is thoroughly believed. For precisely this purpose, the purification of the mind stuff is enjoined. If there are fluctuations unrestrained, then, when the consciousness of being master with regard to these has been produced, would be adequate to effect the perception of these various intended objects. And this done, he will without hindrance acquire belief, energy, mindfulness, and concentration. Alright, let me just check my window. So now 36. Namaste. Vishoka pa Jyotishimati Brabodititi Rudipanana Manasah Sititi Nibanantani Tianubal Sititi Nibanantani Tianu Sititi Nibanantani Tianubaltate. Number 3. 많은 티니. T. This becomes T. 스티티니 많은 티니 띠아누 발타테. 흐리다야 부는더리게. 다라야또 야 무드티 삼비트 무드티 사트밤 히 파스바라 마가 샤카를밤 따트라 스티티바이. Is that B or V? By I think it's a V. 스티티 by. What about this version? 스티티 by. Okay, I'll go with by. 스티티 by 샤라디아드 브라브리티티흐. 수리에는 누구라마. 수리에는 누구라 하마누이. 수리에는 누구라 하마누이 브라파루 바가레노 비카를 빠테. 따타 스미타얌 사마바는남 제트담 니스따랑은가 마호다티카를밤. 샤는다 마나는다 마스미다 마드람 바바티. 야트레다 무크다무 다마누마 드라마 나마누비디아 스미디에밤. Number 1. Dieta, and then okay. Tamanuma drama namanu vidya smi dieta. Tamanuma drama namanu vidya smi da bat sampra. Tamanuma drama namanu vidman. Tamanuma drama tamana. Sorry, I'm being distracted. Tamanuma drama tamana manu vidya smita bat samprajanite. I could do better, but I'm not gonna. Ta bat samprajanite. Number 2. Pratija. Prati. Tavat samprati janite iti. Eshu Tuvayi Vishoka Vishoyabati Asmita Matra. Yeah. 자, 브라브리티틸 ज्योतिषमति तियुज्याते. 야야 여기 나시치트담 스티티바담 라파타 이티. Okay. And the appearance of the painless and effulgent state. The sense objective manifestation being produced becomes the cause of the steadiness of the mind, being bred with this. And the appearance of the painless and effulgent state completes the sense. The intellectual understanding of the yogi who concentrates upon the lotus of the heart is indeed intellective essence luminous like the sky. Due to the mind being well established there, the manifestation is supposed to be in the form of the light of the sun, the moon, the planets, and the jewels. In the same way, the mind being transformed into egoism becomes purely egoistic, calm and infinite like the waveless ocean. There it has been said, the yogi recognizing that simple atomic self, thus fully understands the manifestation as I am all. This twofold manifestation, the painless and subjective and the purely egoistic, is called the effulgence, by which the yogi's mind attains the position of steadiness, or undistressed and luminous. The word sense activity, when arisen, brings the central organ into a relation of stability, are supplied from it. This is that consciousness of the thinking substance which occurs when he fixes his attention upon the lotus of the heart. For the sattva of the thinking substance becomes resplendent and like the air. By skill in keeping it stable in this, the sense activity, because resplendent as the sun or the moon or planets or gems, becomes transformed in appearance. Thus his mind stuff comes to a state of balance with regard to the feeling of personality and becomes waveless like the great sea, peaceful, infinite, the feeling of personality and not beside. With regard to which it has been said, pondering upon this self which is a mere atom, one is conscious in the same way as when one is conscious to the extent that one says I am. This undistressed sense activity is of two kinds, in connection with an object, and the feeling of personality and not beside is called luminous, by means of which the mind stuff of the yogin gains the stable state. Vidaraga Vishayam Pa Chititamu Namaste. Vidaraga Chitita Lamambano Parakatam Pa Yoginasya Chititam Sthiti Padam Lapata Iti. And the mind becomes possessed of the sphere of complete disappearance of attachment. And the yogi's mind, being colored by the grasp of the thought of complete disappearance of attachment, attains the position of steadiness. Or the mind stuff, by having as its object, free from passion, or influence by having as the supporting object the mind stuff free from passion, the yogin's mind stuff reaches a stable state. Sebapuna nidra jinyana lamambanam va. Sebapuna jinyana lamambanam. Number 3. So it skips this word here. Va. Nidra jinyana lamambanam va. And number 4. So that person skips this word. Tatakaram yoginasya chititam sthiti padam lapata iti. And the grasp of the knowledge of dream and of sleep. The yogi's mind, having the grasp of the knowledge of dream and having the grasp of the knowledge of sleep, becomes possessed of those forms and attains the position of steadiness. Or by having as the supporting object the perception in dream or in sleep. Or assuming that form which has as its supporting object either as perception in dream or in sleep, the yogin's mind stuff reaches the stable state. Yata pimatatyana deva yadeva pimatam tadeva tyayat tatra labhutasititika maniyatra pi sthiti padam lapata iti. I wanted to look up something. 39. Yeah, okay. Wait, did I give any salutation? Namaste. Okay. Or from meditation upon one's own choice. The yogi should meditate upon whatever may be his choice. The mind, attaining steadiness there, attains the position of steadiness in other places also. Or by contemplation upon any such an object as is desired. Let him contemplate whatever object he desires. Having reached stability there, the mind stuff reaches a stable state elsewhere also. Namaste. Paramanu paramam paramamahat paramanu paramamahatpanan tosya paramanu paramamahatpanan tosya pashikarah sukushime nivishamanasya paramanu banantam. Number 1. Parat paramanu banantam Sthiti padam lapata iti sutule divishamanasya paramamahatvanantam sthiti padam chittatasya evam tam upayim kotui manuthavatu yosya pratikhatah. Number 2. Pratika. Okay. Yosya pratikhatah. Yosya pratikhatah. Namaste. Sa paro vashikarahu tad vashikarat paripurnam yoginashchitam na punaraphyasa kritam parikaima pekushota iti. Okay, cool. The control over the extremity of the smallest minuteness and of the highest expansiveness comes to him. The mind, entering into the subtle, attains the position of steadiness into the last extremity of the minutest of minutes. When entering into the gross, the position of steadiness into the last extremity of the highest expansiveness comes to his mind. Thus this irresistible power following both these extremities is the highest control. The yogi's mind, entirely full of that control, does not depend any more upon other embellishments produced by practice. His mastery extends from the smallest atom to the greatest magnitude. The mind stuff entering into a subtle thing reaches a stable state, which extends to the smallest atom. Entering a coarse thing, it reaches a stable state, which extends to the greatest magnitude. This freedom from obstruction of his, while advancing in this way to both of these kinds of limits, is complete mastery. So the yogin's mind stuff full of mastery needs not again the purification perfected by practice. Okay, but 41 is pretty long. Where do I want to stop? Okay, well, I'll just go by how much time we have here. I could do a lot more then. Namaste. Atha labuttasatiti kasya jatasahu kimsavarupa kimvishaya pa samapatatiriti tadujyate. Kushui no Buddhita Tera Pijata. Kushui no Buddhita Tire. Kushui no Buddhita Tera. Kushui no Buddhita Tera Pijata Siave. Sieva, Sieva. Kushui no Buddhita Tera. Kushui no Buddhita. Kushui no Buddhita Tera. Sorry, you know what? I need nicotine. Nicotine. Kushui no Buddhita Tera. Kushui no Buddhita Tera Pijata Sieva. Manuel Grahi Trigrahano Grahieshu. Tatasata Tata Tatasata Tadanjana Tatasata Tadanjanata Sama Patatihu. And style is just confusing the heck out of me. Yeah. Kushui no Buddhita Teriti Pratyasutamita Pratyayasyati Altahu Apijata Sieva. Yeah. Manueliti Trishitonen Topadanam Yata Sapatuika Upashraya Peda Tatadu Tatru Poparakata. Just want to double check that word. They divided that one word into two in this version. Tatru Porak. Okay, it's this word here. Upashraya Pedat. That's an obvious one, but now I have to check. Peda. Upashraya Pedat Tatata. Upashraya Pedat Tatata. Upashraya Pedat Tatatru Poparakata. Upashraya Rupa Kareno Nipasate Tata Grahya Lamambano Parakatam Chitatam Grahya Samapananam Grahya Svarupa Kareno Nipasate. Number 1. Tata. So it has a word and it's Tata, and then continue. I'm going to move this a little to the Putasu Kushimo Parakatam. Putasu Kushima. Putasu Kushima Sama Pananam. Putasu Kushima Svarupa Pasam Pavati. Tata Sutula Lamambano Parakatam. Sutula Rupa Sama Pananam. Sutula Rupa Pasam Pavati. Tata Vishiva Pedo Parakatam. Vishiva Peda Sama. Vishiva Peda Sama Pananam. Vishiva Rupa Pasam Pavati. Tata Grahanueshu Vapi Nandri Yeshivapi. Number 2. Yeshu Grahanueshu Vapi Nandri Yeshu. Drashitavyam. Grahano Lamambano Parakatam. Grahana Sama Pananam. Grahana Svarupa Kareno Nipasate. Tata Grahi Tripurusho. Grahi tu Puru. Grahi tu Grahi Tiri Purusho Lamambano Parakatam Grahi Tiri Purusho Sam Grahi Tiri Purusho Sama Pananam Grahi Tiri Purusho Subaru Pakareno Nilpasate Tata Mukuta Purusho Lamambano Mukuta Purusho Lamambano Parakatam Mukuta Purusho Sama Pananam Mukuta Purusho Subaru Pakareno Nilpasata. There's number 1. Nilpasate iti. Tadeva ma pija tamanui. Tadeva ma pija tamanui kalpasya jataso grahi tiri grahana grahieshu purushwandriya puteshu. Is that one word or 2 words? One word. Ya tatasatata danjanata deshu satitasya tadakara patatihu sa sama patatiriti uchyate. Starting from here, what is the character and what is the sphere of the operative transformation of the mind which has obtained rest? That is now being described. The transformation of the mind whose operations have been destroyed assumes like a high-class crystal the color of that on which it rests in relation to the receiver, the receiving instrument, and the receivable object. The mind whose operations have been destroyed means the mind whose cognitions have been subjugated. Like a high-class crystal is the acceptation of an example. As a high-class crystal, due to its contiguity to various objects, being colored by their respective hue, shines in the form of that proximate support. So also the mind colored by the receivable support, being transformed into that, shines with the form of the manifestation of the receivable object. Similarly, colored by the subtle element, it being transformed into that, gets manifested in the form of the manifestation of the subtle element. Similarly, colored by the gross element, it being transformed into that, gets manifested in the form of the manifestation of the gross element. Similarly, colored by the universal difference, it being transformed into that, gets manifested into the manifestation of the universal form. Similarly, it should be observed in the case of receiving instrument, that is, the senses. Colored by the receiving support, it being transformed into that, shines in the form of manifestation of the receiving senses. Similarly, colored by the support of the receiver Purusha, it being transformed into that, shines in the form of the manifestation of the receiver Purusha. Similarly, colored by the support of the free Purusha, it being transformed into that, shines in the form of the manifestation of the free Purusha. Thus that transformation, which is the coloring of the mind, similar to a high-class crystal, by that on which it rests and becomes established in that in relation to the receiver, the receiving instrument, and the receivable object, that is the Purusha, the senses and the elements, is called the operative transformation. Now when the mind has reached stability, what is the balanced state as such, and as directed to an object? This is told. It from which, as from a precious gem, fluctuations have dwindled away, is with reference either to the knower, or to the process of knowing, or to the object to be known, in the state of resting upon one of these, and in the state of being tinged by one of these, and is thus in the balanced state. The meaning of the words from which fluctuations have dwindled away refers to it of which the presented ideas have come to rest. It takes as the example the words as from a precious gem. Just as a crystal is tinged by the various colors of the different things next to which it lies, and appears as having the form of the colored thing next to which it lies, so the mind stuff is influenced by referring to the object to be known and comes into a state of balance with the object to be known and appears as having the form of the object to be known as it is in itself. Influenced by a subtle element, it comes into a state of balance with the subtle element and seems to be the subtle element itself. Likewise, influenced by referring to a coarse element, it comes into a state of balance with a coarse form and seems to have a coarse form. Similarly, influenced by particular things of the world, it comes into a state of balance with the particular thing of the world and seems to have the form of the world. An analogous situation will be found to exist also with reference to the processes of knowing in the organs of sense. Influenced by referring to a process of knowing, it comes into a state of balance with the process of knowing and appears as having the form of the process of knowing as it is in itself. Similarly, influenced by referring to the self as knower, it comes into a state of balance with the self as knower and appears as having the form of the self as knower. Similarly, influenced by referring to a liberated self, it comes into a state of balance with the liberated self and appears as having the form of the liberated self. Thus it is that the mind, which is like a precious gem, in the state of resting upon one of these, upon the knower, or upon a process of knowing, or upon the object to be known, upon the self, or a sense organ, or an element, in a state of being tinged by these, while resting upon these, changes into their form. This is said to be in the balanced state. Namaste. Tatra Shabudai Tajinya Nabikade Paiho Samkil no Sabitalka Sama Padatiho Tadiata Gauriti Shabudo Gauritial Gauritialto Gauriti Jinyana Mitya Vipagena Vipakatana Mapi Grahanam Dirishitamu Vipajyamana Shijanye Shabuda Talma Aniel Tatalma Anie Vijñana Talma Itieteshum Vipakatahu Panantahu Tatra Sama Pananasya Yogino Yo Gavadialtahu Samati Prajinyayam Samarutahu Sa Jagachabudai Jagachabudai Tajinyana Vikaripanu Vidata Upa Vaitate Sa Samkil no Sama Padatihu Sabitalke Tiuchiate. There, the suppositional thought transformation is mixed up with the option of word, object, and idea. It is as follows: the cognition of cow as a word, cow as an object, and cow as an idea, although different from one another, is seen to take place conjointly. Being analyzed, the characteristics of the word are different, the characteristics of the object are different, and the characteristics of the idea are different. This is their separate way. There, if the object, cow, etc., which is present in the absorbent cognition of the yogi, who is possessed of thought transformation, stands intermixed with the option of word, object, and idea, this mixed-up thought transformation is called suppositional. When, however, on the complete purification of the retentive power regarding the verbal convention, the object, which exists in its pure nature in the absorbent cognition devoid of the option of verbal and inferential ideas, is distinguished by the pure show of its own manifestation, then this is termed the clear thought transformation. This is the highest perception and is the seat of the verbal and inferential knowledge. The verbal and inferential knowledge are born of that highest perception. Further, this observation is not coexistent with the verbal and the inferential knowledge. Hence, the yogi's observation, one of the clear spiritual absorption, is not mixed up with any other means of knowledge. Of these, the state balance with deliberation is confused by reason of the practical relations between words and intended objects and ideas. For example, although the word cow and the intended object cow and the idea cow are things distinct from each other, one finds that in the process of knowing they are undistinguished. When these are distinguished from each other, the properties of words are of one kind, the properties of objects intended are of another kind, the properties of thoughts are of another kind. Thus the levels of existence are distinct. If now a yogin has come into a state of balance with one of these, and if such an intended object as cow strikes upon his concentrated insight, and if it comes to him permeated with practical relations between words and intended objects and ideas, then that confused balanced state is said to be with deliberation. Alright, maybe one more and I'll call it a day. Yeah, just one more. And it's a very long sutra. Do I have time for it? Yeah, I do. Namaste. Yada punaha shabuda samketa smriti parishudutao Shruta numana jiñana vikalpashu nyayam samadhi prajiñayam svarupamatreno vasiti toltastat svarupakaramatra dayaiva bakachiti diate. It's this word here. Svarupamatrena vasiti Svarupamatrena vasiti Svarupamatrena vasiti toltastat svarupakaramatra dayaiva bakachidiyate sacha nirvitaika yeah. Sama patatiho tataparam pratyakushamu takacha shuruta numana yolbijamu. Yeah. Tataho shuruta numane prabhavataho na cha shuruta numana jiñana sahaputam tad daishanamu tasmada samkilnam brahmano는 dareno yogino nibitaika samadhijam daishanamiti nilbitaikayaha samapaterasyaha sutreno lakushonam diotiate. Let me make sure I didn't miss any numbers, any alternatives. Okay. Smriti parishudutao svarupashu nieval tamatra nilpasa nilbitaika ya shabuda samketa shruta numana jiñana vikalpa smriti parishudutao grahya svarupo parakata. Number 1. That one skips this word. Prajinya svamiva. Svamiva. Prajna Svarupam. Number 2. Prajna Rupam. Wait. Prajna Rupam. Grahanotmakam. Vyakdva. Padaltama Svarupa. Grahya Svarupa. Pananeva. Pavati Sa. Number 3. Skips this word. Tada. Nilvitalka. Sama Padatihu. Nilvitalka. Yeah, okay. Tata cha vyakyatam tasya ekabud buddh diupakramo ekabut diupakramo yaltatmanu prachaya yaltatmanu. Sorry, being distracted now. Yaltatmanu prachaya visheshotma gabadil khatto dilva lokahu sa cha samsthana visheshu bhutasu kushimanam satharano dharma atma bhutahu. Double check. Yeah. Palena vyakutena numitahu svavyanjakanjanahu pradulpavati. Number 1. Svadulputo. Right? Pavati. Taimanan Darasya. There's number 2. Taimanan Darodara. Taimanan Darodat. Yeah. Wow. Taimanan Darodaye. Yeah, okay. Kapala Derudaye Ja Tiro Pavati Sa Eshu Taimobaya Vi Diujate Yosa Vekashija Maham Shija Nuyam Shija Sipashavam Shija Kriya Taimakashija Nityashija Tenabaya Vina Vyabaharahu Kriyanante Nyasya Punarabasutukahu Sa Prachaya Visheshuhu. Sukushimam cha karanam anupalat karanam pya karanam anupalapya karanam anupalapya Karanam avikalipasya. There's number 1. Lapyam. Ta. Karanam anupalapyam. Okay, starting from here. Tasyavaya vyapavadattad Tasya Vaya Vyapava Tadatu. Tasya Vaya. Sorry, now I'm being distracted. Tasya Vaya Vyapava Tadatu Puta Pupa Pratishtam. Alright, I'm gonna use my nicotine. Okay. Let me just make sure that's not true. That could be true. Oh, oof. I caught myself. True. And what about this one? True. So it's not pu, it's true. Tasya Vaya Vyaba. Tasya Vaya Vyapava Tadatu. Tatta. Tasya Vaya Vyapava Tadatu Papratish. Tasya Vaya Vyapa. Tasya Vaya Vyapava Tata. Tasya Vaya Vyapava Tata. Tasya Vaya Vyapava Tata. Tasya Vaya Vyapava Tata. Tatadru. Tasya Vaya Vyapava Tatadru Papratishitam. Mitya Jnanamiti Prayana Saivameva Praputam Mitya Jnanamiti Tada Cha Samyak Jnanamapi Kim Syad Vishaya Bhavat Yadyadupalapyate Tatada Vaya Vitubena Namanatam Tamu Tatada Vaya Vitubena Namanatam. Okay, number 2. Na kra kragta. Kra also uses the same version, but it elongates that word. Oh, so that must be that. I'm just gonna read this here then. Tatada Vaya Tatada Vaya Vitub. Tatada Vaya Vitubena Kratamu. Okay. Tasma dasutiya Vaya Vi Yo Mahatva Divya Bahara Pananahu Sama Patutel Nilvitakaya Vishoyi number 3. Vishoyo Pavati. You know, if it were written, printed a little better, it'll be easier for me. Such is not the case. What does that mean? Why is it so hard for me to just read the sutra? I just want to read the sutra. The sutra does not exist. It does not exist in one form. It exists in many different versions. Because this Yoga Sutras is the best tool for anyone to be liberated if you read it right. But a genuine copy does not exist. There are like a few different versions of it, and the best version that I've found is not legible. What does that mean? Okay. Namaste. The definition of this clear thought transformation is being given in this aphorism. On the complete purification of the retentive power, the appearance of the truth alone as if devoid of its own nature is the clear thought transformation. On the complete purification of the retentive power about the fictions of verbal and inferential ideas of the verbal convention, that absorbing cognition, which being colored by the nature of the receivable object, as if gives itself up, that is, gives up the cognitional manifestation of receiving character, and simply becomes transformed into the nature of the receivable object in the form of the manifestation of its truth alone, is then called the clear thought transformation. And this has similarly been explained. This gets the introduction of the single intellect, which is indeed the real character of the object, and is the true nature of the special collection of atoms, such as the cow, etc., the jar, etc., or the world. Further, this is distinct from the special aggregation of atoms, and is the common characteristic of the subtle elements. This is peculiar to himself, and is inferred from the evident result. This being possessed of his own manifestative cause becomes visible, and on the rise of another characteristic, this disappears. This is the characteristic which is called a whole. It is he who is one, or large, or small, or tangible, or possessing the characteristics of the active force, or non-eternal. All functions are performed by this whole. In the case of him, however, who holds that this particular collection is the product of something non-existent, and that the subtle cause is inadmissible for him owing to the absence of the whole, all knowledge being established in an appearance which is not its own is false. Almost whatever is obtained is but false knowledge, and then owing to the absence of that object, what can be the perfect knowledge? Whatever is perceived is learned through the reality of the whole. Therefore there is the whole, which has fallen into the function of the great principle, etc. This becomes the subject of the clear thought transformation. When, however, the memory is purified from the conventional use of words, and when the concentrated insight is free from predicate relations in the form of ideas, either of inferences or of something that has been heard, the intended object remains as it is in itself and nothing more, and is specifically characterized as having just that form which has in itself and that's nothing more. And this is the super deliberative balanced state. This is the higher perception. And this is the germ of inference and of anything that has been heard. From it, inference and anything heard have their being. Moreover, this knowledge is not accompanied by an idea either of an inference or of anything that has been heard. Therefore, the yogin's knowledge derived from super deliberative concentration is not confused by any other source of a valid idea. He illustrates the distinguishing characteristic of the super deliberative concentration by the sutra. When the memory is quite purified, which is, as it were, empty of itself and which brightens as the intended object and nothing more, is super deliberative. That insight which, when the memory is quite purified from predicate relations of ideas, either of inferences or of anything that has been heard, and from the conventional usage of words, is influenced by the thing in itself, which is to be known, and which, after, as it were, in its form of insight, throwing off itself, the essence of which is a process of knowing, becomes the thing intended and nothing more. It becomes, as it were, changed into the thing in itself, which is to be known. This is the super deliberative balanced state, and as such it has been explained. For to this the world, whether such as whether it be such as a cow or whether such as a water jar, is the transformation of a single mental act. Its essence is an intended object. Its essence is that it is a special kind of conglomeration of atoms, and this particular kind of arrangement is an apparent form, common to the subtle elements, and it is inferred from its phenomenalized effects. It is self-dependent and presents itself by changing into its phenomenal form, by the operation of the conditions which phenomenalize it, and it disappears when another apparent form arises in consciousness. This same apparent form is called a whole, and it is this that is one and greater, very small and tangible, and that in which actions occur and impermanent. By these wholes, the business of life is carried on, but to whom such a particular conglomeration is not real, since by an indefinite first impression a subtle cause is imperceptible. For him, since there is no whole, nearly everything, in accordance with the statement that an erroneous idea is not based upon the form of that, is reduced to erroneous ideas. And then what would be a complete idea, seeing that there are no objects to which it would refer? For whatever is perceived, all that is a bit influenced by its nature of being a whole having parts. Therefore, a whole exists which becomes changed by receiving what is called sizes and the like. This is the object of the superdeliberative balance state. Okay. Should I stop here? Should I do one more? How long has it been? Okay, I'm gonna do one more. Namaste. Atayaiva sabichara nibichara cha sukushima vishoya vyakhyata tatra Pudasu kushima keshiva pivyagata taimakeshu Deshakala nimititanu pavana Chineneshu Deshakala nimititanu pava bakachinen Deshakala nimititanu pava bakachinen Ya sama padatihu sa sabichare ujyate Tatra pieka buddhati nilgrahya mebo Tatra pieka buddhati Tatra pieka buddhati nilgrahya mebo Dita Talma Bishishirtama Tatra pieka buddhati nilgrahya mebodita Tatra pieka buddhati nilgrahya mebodita Talma Bishish Tatra pieka buddhati nilgrahya mebodita Talma Bishishirtama I'm thinking maybe I should stop. Tatra pieka buddhati, because that is so fuzzy. That's just adding insult to the injury. My fatal injury. Boo. Tatra pieka buddhati nilgrahya mebodita Talma Bishishirtam Pudasu Gushima Bhutasu Kushimama Lamambani Bhutam Samadhi Prajñaya Mupatishitote Samadhi Prajñaya Mupatishitote. Sorry, Namaste. Okay, it's definitely the last one. I'm not even sure if I'm gonna finish it. If it's too much for me, I'll just stop to it tomorrow. Ya Punahu Saibata. It cannot be Salbaltam. Salbamta. But what choice do I have? Saibatahu Shanto Dita Vya Padeshya Shanto Dita Vya Shanto Dita Vya Shanto Dita Vya Padeshya Taimana Bikuchanesh Pakuchinesh Shanto Dita Vya Padeshya Taimana Bik Shanto Dita Vya Padeshya Taimana Pakuchineshu. Maybe I should do it tomorrow. Yeah, because it's only 7 sutras left, and they're pretty short for the most part. It's a conundrum. Should I do this or should I not do it? I'll have an easier time tomorrow if I do it now. Okay, I'll do it. Shanto Diva Shanto Dita Vyapadeshya Taimana Bakuchineshu Salva Taimanupatishu Salva Taimatmakeshu Sama Patatihu. Is that Patati or Pati? Patatihu. Sa Nilbichare Diuchate Evam Svarupam Hi Taduputasu Kushima Metenaiva. Svaru Pena Lamambani Putameva Samadhi Prajña Svarupamuparanja Samadhi Prajña Svarupamuparanjayati. Alright, so I'm almost done with this. Prajña cha Svarupashu Nieval Tamadra Yada Pavati Tada Libichareti Uchiate Tatra Mahadvasutu Bishoya Sabitalka Nilvitalka Cha Sukushima Basutu Bishoya. Number 1. Mabi. So it skips Basutu. Sukushima Bishoya Sabichara Nibichara Cha Nil. Yeah. Evamu payoretaya eva. Yeah, okay. 2 more words and then I'm done today. Nilvitalkaya Pikaripaha Nilvya Kyatati. And just double check that fuzziness. Yeah, cool. Alright, so tomorrow I'm gonna finish book 1 again. And yeah, it does get easier, but since the printing is so awful, it doesn't really help. Okay, By this, the reflective and the ultra-reflective also, possessed of subtle spheres, have indeed been described. There, that thought transformation is called reflective, which is transforming to the manifestation of the subtle elements of the manifested characteristics, differentiated by the experience of time, space, and exciting cause. There also the subtle element determined by the single intellect alone and qualified by the present characteristic becomes a support and appears in the spiritual absorpent cognition. Sorry, my mic is in the way. Okay, better. On the other hand, that is called ultra-reflective, which is transformed by all means and in all respects into the manifestation of all the characteristics that follow all specific qualities, unlimited by the past, present, and unpredictable properties. Such manifestation is in fact a subtle element, and it being only supported by this manifestation alone, colors the character of the absorbent cognition. Further, when the cognition becomes as if devoid of its own nature and becomes a truthless self, then it is called ultra-reflective. There, the suppositional and the clear have the spheres of the gross substance. The reflective and the ultra-reflective have the spheres of the subtle substance. Thus, the cessation of doubt of these two has been described by this clear alone. By this same, the reflective and the super-reflective are explained as having subtle objects. Of these, that is called the reflective balance state, which refers to subtle elements, the apparent forms of which have been manifested and which are characterized by an experience of place and time and cause. In this case also, a subtle element capable of being apperceived by one idea and particularized by uprisen apparent form serves as that upon which the concentrated insight rests. But that balanced state which in all ways and by all means refers to such as are free from characterization by apparent forms, whether quiescent or uprisen or indeterminable, and which yet corresponds to all apparent forms and is the essence of all apparent forms, is called super-reflective. Since the subtle element is of this kind, it becomes in this very form that on which the concentrated insight rests, and it influences the insight itself. When moreover the insight becomes as it were emptied of itself and becomes the intended object and nothing more, then it is called super-reflective. Of these, the deliberative and the super-deliberative have as object something great, while the reflective and the super-reflective have a subtle object. Thus, by the same super-deliberative, the destruction of predicate relations of both kinds has been explained. Okay, so the 6 sutras tomorrow, and I think it's been 1 hour and 45 minutes. Okay. So it's 33 to 44, like 11 or 12 sutras. Okay, so I'm gonna start whispering the mantra in a couple of hours. Then that's it. This is it for me. Thank you very much. Namaste.